Hey everyone, wanted to pick back up today and go over how to make a fishnet grid in ArcGIS. What you see in front of you, I have the city limits of Dallas. I've already projected this into the Texas North Central Zone 4202. So underneath it's US feet. You can see that down here. I've updated the map to also display it this way. With that, you can use this, be it a neighborhood, another city, a county, any polygon feature that you have that you want to make a true grid for. You can do this within ArcGIS. To do it, let's come over to our geoprocessing tab. You can hit it from the data management side, but if you also just go through it, you have Fishnet up here, and we're going to go through how to make truly the square cells for this. With that, though, I want to draw the attention to the second option here, the generate tessellation. This is incredibly important, and I'll cover this in future videos and primarily focus on the value of using hexagons versus squares or rectangles of that nature. A lot of great research out there on the use of hexagons. We'll cover that in the future, but for now, let's get our feet wet with just creating a normal fishnet. So let's go into our fishnet. We'll save it here in a second, but the first part that we want to cover is, what are we trying to make the fishnet for? Truly, we want it to cover Dallas here. So I'm going to come down to our template over here, select this, and it's going to auto-populate most of the fields for you, so the extent to which it needs to make a fishnet for it. With that, we're going to make 500-foot cells. And now that we've set all the parameters, I'm going to come down here and unclick or uncheck the label points. I don't want each grid cell to have a point with it, and I want it to be a polygon so each one is unique when we click them. So now I'm going to come up to the top, save this like you do any other layer. I need to redirect this to my geo database, and there we go. So Dallas, Fishnet, and then we have it at 500 feet. Use whatever naming you want to here. Mine changes depending on the project. Go ahead and click save. And now this is going to run and create truly and cast a fishnet over Dallas. With that, it's going to grab the top, bottom, left, and right, so your true extent of it. So you can see now that it's covering a lot more than just Dallas itself. So I'm going to change the transparency up here to 50%. But you can see now that we have a true fishnet of all of Dallas. With that, though, I'm only interested in the cells that intersect Dallas. So with that, I'm going to come in to, you can do it based on your map. You can do it select based on location. There's a couple of different ways. But I want to select cells that intersect the underlying boundary layer. Here, it is our Dallas one, so I'm going to click apply. You can see we have a subset selected. So if I were to open this attribute table, I can now see we have 44,000 selected out of the 99,000. So a subset, just under half of all of those potential cells are truly in Dallas itself. I want to save these out, so I'm going to have a separate layer that is truly just Dallas cells itself. So I'm going to right click, go ahead and go to data, export. You can also do it a couple different ways. Selection, you can do clear and make it here to where you can export a lot of options within it, but truly I usually just come over to data itself, export features, and this is popping up on another screen for me. So there we go, bring it back. Dallas, Fishnet, within city. Click save, and I'll bring this back over just so you can see, keeping everything else, so I can click OK, and now it's generating that layer for us. And with that, I can unselect these other ones here. If I zoom in, you can now see that Dallas itself is covered in a fishnet, a grid itself. With that, though, you might wonder and look at this and be like, well, it's covering a lot of areas that I don't want. We can get to that in future videos. When I say areas that we do not want, you can see that these fishnet cells even cover water, to where if you think about it, depending on what you're trying to do, especially if it's crime analysis type work, you're not going to have crime that's geocoded to this waterway itself. So in future videos, we'll cover how to select those out, how to get rid of them, how to trim down to actual grid cells that you're interested in using. But for now, just wanted to go over how to create a fishnet itself. You can change this, you can play around with it if you're interested in points, if you want to change the cell sizes, if you want to even mess around with the hexagons, have at it. We'll cover that in a future video. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.